Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel and Design. I am going to do a book haul video. These were books that this haul represents a number of auction lots that I won. Now they're all mixed up now, so I don't know which books were with which. But the downside of buying books or, well, anything through an auction is that quite often the bundling is, has one or two precious items that you really have your heart set on getting, and then, some box fillers, so to speak, that are not as good. So that was the case here as well. And of course, I've got some that I absolutely love and coveted, and others that, not so much. Anyway, let's begin. So this was a lot together. These two were a lot. And so this first one, book one, is a 1924. And it does have, the large print and these sorts of illustrations. And I will check to see whether or not this is scannable. It's officially 100 years old, so you would think it would be. So that is obviously more desirable than this one, which is book three, and I guess is geared for older kids and therefore has fewer illustrations and more, more complex stories and maybe more worldly kind of content, which isn't necessarily my cup of tea. Now, I haven't obviously looked through it all, but this one in particular, other than it being that pukey green, which is not my favorite color, but it is my daughter's, is in great shape. This one, of course, has the masking tape reinforcement. So we'll just keep going here. This looked very attractive to me. The Speckled Hen Story by Amy Prentice. Look at that cute little spine. And again, in great shape. Now, okay, here's the year, 1906. So it's got some, color plates, 4 colored plates and 28 illustrations in black. So again, I haven't had a, I haven't looked through it page by page, but clearly this one would be scannable. Now, obviously, something like this is more desirable to me than, where was that one with the turkey on the fence? And a vagabond or something. So, it's, I guess illustrators 100 years ago or even last week didn't necessarily think about what would junk journal makers of the future want in illustrations. Anyway, the other part that I thought was really cool about this book, here's a loose page, is all these blank, lovely silky paper, but are all of these illustrated sort of ads? I guess this Amy must have had an Aunt Amy's Animal Story series, so each of those is really cool. So I'll add this to my never-ending pile of things to scan. On we go, Reading for Meaning. This book is in pretty good shape, I would say. And like so many of these readers, typically, oh, I'm wrong. So there are 2 dates on here, 1937 and 1949. So Many of these readers do not typically have a copyright date, so of course that's always kind of a mystery. The book itself, oh, look at that, is really in good condition. I don't see any, markings or rips or anything. And of course, really, well, there's some pencil. So this just may end up, once I've had a chance to assess and see how many things I put aside to use. And, so something like this could end up at a future live sale. Because believe it or not, I have, I've kind of had a dose of reality, and I'm beginning to acknowledge, you first have to acknowledge you have a problem before you can fix it. Beginning to acknowledge that I have way too much stuff that will never turn into journals if they stay in my possession. Okay, Nikki's Christmas Surprise, a Lift the Flap book. Now, again, I didn't know that this was there, but it's got every page or every spread has an interactive element of some kind. So, I mean, that could be a lot of fun. So, I'm not that big on doing Christmas things. Not that this really... Christmas Surprise. So I didn't read it. But other than there's a wreath, to me it doesn't really smack so much of Christmas. So this will probably end up coming to a future sale. Let me start a pile of those, perhaps. Okay, off to the races. Oh, this is well, it says it's a beginner book, and of course it's got the Cat in the Hat logo there. Cool end papers. A lot of illustrations, is kind of in a very loose and sort of artsy style. I might have to put this one aside for Carol. I know that she and Jeff cycle, and I think that, well, Jeff especially, I think she was planning to do a journal for him. So I think, Carol, this one has your name on it. Couple or maybe 3 little golden books. This one, of course, we've all seen before. It's got wear. It's probably, at some point, I probably need to be going through. Okay, this is 1949, so it is pretty scrumptious. I mean, even this, doesn't this just look like it's from another century? Yeah. Anyway, what I started to say is that I'm going to need to go through my little golden books and see if there's enough to warrant a sale. Okay, Counting Rhymes. We can tell from this cover it's going to be a Louise Wilkin. Oh, no. Sharon Kane illustrations. Clearly a very similar style, though. 1960, and the back cover, and who knows, maybe a page or 2 are missing. So this will be a cutter book for me. Of course, the bad part is, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. I'll deconstruct it, and I will hinge it so that nothing is lost, because this is too precious. So we'll make another pile for homework for Hazel. Okay, 3 Little Pigs. Not in particularly good shape cover-wise, but look at this. Whitey, Blackie, Brownie. Whitey, Blackie, Brownie. Now, it's got, when I see illustrations like this, I sort of think of Walter Crane, although he used a heavier hand with his black and his outlining. This, there must be something missing here, because there really isn't any sort of indication about age or anything like that. So I think this has to become another one of those. Now that's pencil, so it could be erased. This will have to become homework for Hazel. A little golden, well, oh, a Christmas thing, a Christmas board instead of the usual gold. I've never noticed that before. Maybe I don't have any like that. Mickey Mouse Goes Christmas Shopping. 1953, so that's an oldie too. So I'm going to say that this will be coming up for sale. Okay, let's keep going. Now, of course, when you see a cover like this, you think to yourself, oh, this is going to be good, because it hints at age. Don't remember if there was... Okay, the inscription says 1939. Some crayon marks here. 1931. Now, unfortunately, some little brat seems to have colored every illustration. Now, that's okay when the coloring is good, because it's just something that saves me some work. However, when it's, kind of sloppy, that does become a problem. So this might end up, a lot of this might end up being kind of, worked into a master board or something. Obviously choose this one and not that one. So again, it is, but that cover is pretty darn cool, I have to say. So, not sure how and when this one will be dealt with. I'll put it aside. Okay, Dr. Seuss, ABC, crayon mark there, but this is one of those very, plasticky type covers. This is pretty cool. That could easily wipe off. Now, it seems to me that unless a person were doing a Dr. Seuss book, that the appeal here would be the bright colors and perhaps turning it into, collage fodder, or using some of the bright pages and the huge font on master boards. So that might be the challenge that I give myself. 1963 for that one. We'll put that one there. Now this one is called Pop-Up Sound-Alikes, a hilarious collection of homonyms. Blue and blue. This, okay, there's no date there. But, of course, we have these pop-ups. So, if he ever saw a saw, I'm not sure where that's supposed to go. Okay, so it's got these interactive bits here. 1, 1, 1, and 1, 1, 2. Say that 5 times fast. This kid is mailing a parcel. And so on and so on. I think everything worked correctly until maybe I got to this page. So again, I don't know if it's possible. It should be, I guess, to, oh, this one was a problem as well. It should be possible to reuse some of these pages. They would probably, my ruler is here, but, to take the book apart, because of course it's got, every spread is actually 2 pages, because it's got the inner workings. So, yeah, I think this goes on the homework pile. Now, this one looked better online than it did once I got it home. And unfortunately, it was its own lot, which means I paid more for it. It's a soft cover, and it's called Illuminated Pictures, a Pearcaster book. And if I'm not mistaken, this is from the 30s. Yeah, 1934, 35. So here are the instructions. Now, unfortunately, whoever worked on this book had not the greatest cutting skills. So some of these look better than others. Okay, that's a street lamp. There are some pages. Okay, so what I gathered was that it was a combination of tissue paper and, well, let me show you a page that hasn't been worked on. Now, this is just god-awful, the way those windows were cut out. So, you know, I could clean that up, I guess. Anyway, let me show you one that hasn't been done. So, okay, so there are several. So there's this tree, this castle with a drawbridge, this cauldron. I thought there was another really more beautiful one. There's this Indian, and I thought this one was lovely. So I gather that the intention in the book is that you cut away the negative space and then use one of the attached tissue papers to create that dramatic background. So there are several here that have been untouched. And there are probably some, like this looks like it belongs in a Halloween journal or something, the way it's so spooky looking. So that might be usable as is. Obviously, I have more access to tissue paper of whatever color might be required. So Hazel's got more homework. That is a, what do they call it, dust jacket with a rip, obviously. That's what the real cover looks like, and it's called Hot and Cold. So I didn't read it, but again, I suppose the advantage here is, you know, the imagery. And probably, you know, a person could use each page also as a signature. So that's probably the best bet here. And this is a 1965, printed in Belgium. So that will probably come to a sale. Okay, we're getting into the bigger books now. So Walt Disney's Storyland. Now, I didn't, let's just see. I had a couple of packages of wipes that were kind of almost dried up. So I added some water to the package. That doesn't seem to be removing the ink, but it probably is removing any dirt that might be there. I should say this would be the time to pull out that product that I saw Sarah from New England Junk Journals using. And I put it on my Christmas list and actually got some. I haven't tried it lately though. So anyway, before you give up on your dried up wet wipes, try giving them a second life. Actually, that does seem to be removing the ink. So, you know, again, when you see books in a thrift store or maybe at auction and you think, oh, that looks like it's got possibilities. You know, don't necessarily reject it. I think that cleaned up pretty well. If I worked on this corner a little more, I could probably get that a little better. Anyway, just saying that sometimes that works. Not every time, though. You should be warned. Okay, so this is a Golden Press book. There's obviously some pencil marks. Copyright 1962. And you can see that it's it's got at least a 1-inch spine. So, again, I don't know what I'll be doing with this one. If this is something that Mrs. Cackle's corn. You know, very cute. And particularly if a person sort of wanted that Walt Disney connection. Goofy, Donald Duck, Dumbo. I think most of us have very warm feelings about Walt Disney and what he has created, or what he created in his lifetime. Oh, here's another one. Okay, Stories of Animals. This too was part of a lot, and I thought, well, I want that one. And then, of course, ended up with some others that I could have, take it or leave it kind of feeling about those. This is in good shape. Okay, Stories of Animals. Again, about an inch wide spine. Whoops. Let's keep in frame here. Almost newsprint type paper. Okay, Roman numerals. So that's 1947. Yeah, 1947. So it is really in great condition, considering. Now, these appear to be pretty well. Oh, I guess there is the odd bit of color added. A one-color process. But really cool illustrations. So do we know how many pages this has? So it's over 220 pages. Almost 225. Really nice. It's got that old book smell, not mildew though, so that's always a relief. Guess I'm doing a little cleaning as I go. Mother Goose. This one also I wanted. So again, kind of. It's really quite nice in an auction sale. It doesn't happen that often, but occasionally. Enough to get one's hopes up, or get one coming back, is when there are no other bidders. So then for the price of the starting bid, it is yours. Okay, Mother Goose Rhymes, Platt and Monk Publishers. Look at these beautiful end papers and a landscape format. So 1950, 1953. And just so cute. Was that enough so's? So cute. Hey, that's how you wrestle some blackbirds into a pie. I never really knew. But, and this book is pristine. Which is always, I don't know, I guess it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Is it harder to cut into a pristine book? Or is it is, let's admit it. I didn't read the description well enough to realize that this was in fact a record and not a book. Obviously, the record is of no use to me, but certainly this sleeve could become a cover. So 10 1/4, I guess it's square. Well, not quite, by 10. Imagine that, or imagine that. And by the way this is constructed, obviously cut it top and bottom since this backside is also open. A person then has a choice of, like the way these things are formatted here, I would make this side the front cover, this side the back cover. So we'll see if I get to that. And of course, this is really cool as well. Oh, 1954. So, yeah, it's been a minute. Now I didn't really try my hand at cleaning. I don't know what this is. And, again, sometimes there's nothing really here to save in a sense. So this cover would probably be a throwaway or a base that a person would cover with fabric or paper or something. So I'm not going to waste any time or brain power thinking about that. But look at this. Denslow's picture book Treasury. Now, if this is the one I'm thinking of, okay, copyright 1990, but this is clearly based on a vintage story. So it looks like this guy would have been working in the 1890s or so. And I think his whole point, if I remember this correctly, was to rewrite stories so that they were less violent, less scary for little readers. Because, so many of the stories are just, death and mayhem and violence. So now I thought it was interesting that he even rewrote Mary Had a Little Lamb. I didn't think that was such a bad one, but anyway, so clearly I have to do some research into this and see what's what. Obviously, somebody here just took the... See, this is the part that is a little bit confusing, and I don't, I'm obviously not a copyright lawyer, but it says compilation and introduction copyright 1990 by Michael Patrick Hearn. Okay, so obviously Michael Patrick Hearn, right there, wrote this part. But you would think that if in fact this is from the 1890s, that these images would be in the public domain. There's this, I guess he must have signed his name Dan. What's his real name? Denslow. So that looks like Dan. And with this little swirly thing. So again, this requires a little bit more research. No, I couldn't. We'll save maybe some of the best for last. Okay, let's show these two. The Choo Choo Train, Nursery Treasury Books. It's fallen apart. Oh, I wonder why the end papers are different. That seems weird, doesn't it? Anyway, I don't need to solve that mystery. Not exactly my shtick as far as the illustration style goes. So again, I think this is one of those where the best I can hope to do is salvage and work these images into a masterboard. 1958. Now, the other option, and this actually, I guess the other option always is if you see something in a haul video that you feel that you must have, by all means reach out to me, and I'll see what can be done. I can tell you, who knows, depending on who you are, I might decide to gift it to you. I might decide to come up with a price and sell it to you. I might say, oh, it's coming up in an upcoming sale, or I might say, oh, sorry, I've already cut into it. But it never hurts to ask. Okay, the story of Little Black Sambo. So that probably is not politically correct. Well, and this one I could never sell anyway, manufactured in Hong Kong. Oh, so maybe I'm wrong about this. Okay, the summary. A little boy in India loses his fine clothes to the tigers, but while they dispute who is the grandest tiger in the jungle, he takes his fine clothes back again. So I can't say that I remember this story. Glossy pages, again, this could very well be one of those that becomes collage fodder. Okay, now this, obviously something is missing. I was having a heck of a time. Of course, these pages aren't numbered. Now, Little Black Sambo is in this book as well. So this must have been, I don't know, what would this have been? The 30s, maybe? Then there is another story here. Wee Peter Pug. So about a little dog. And then Little Red Hen. So maybe this is all intact and the only thing missing is the cover. I mean, it was folded differently, so I had a little trouble getting my head around it. The illustrations are so rich and the colors so vibrant. And the paper, I don't want to try to tear it. Well, here's a tear. It tears like paper, but yet it almost feels like cloth. See, I just did that. And then, of course, the bonus tape. So this I will probably, because they're oversized, 11 by 8 1/4. So they could be used in a tall skinny or just salvage the illustrations. Now the illustrations themselves are fairly big, 5 1/4 by 6 1/2. So that is rather a large. Now, of course, that could be cropped. Those would make awfully large tags. So I don't know. Anyway, need to think about that. Okay. Now this is, this says Linen Like. This is Mother Goose Pictures and Rhymes with pictures by Ruth E. Newton, assisted by, and then she had a couple of people assisting her apparently. I can't remember if there was a date. Now this is also big, 13 by 9 5/8. So again, a person, I don't know. It's, I guess, depending how it worked, it could almost be a journal, a journal cover. Okay, let's see. Yeah, 1934. So really cute illustrations again, but again, very, very big. And of course, the cute little verse, because it tends to be spread across, in 2 columns spread across the width of the page. Those could be cut out and, let's see, do the pictures line up? Pretty close. So a person could probably salvage these and have them just as a tip in or something that folds out of sight and fits into the parameters. Okay, so this 1939, printed in the U.S. Imagine that. Little Red Riding Hood. So again, the colors, like how did they print this so that 90 some years later it still looks this good? Are they calling this linen feel too, or not necessarily? It's just very textural. So it almost, if I was hard pressed to describe it, I would say it almost looks like it's been printed on canvas. Has that fine art look to it. Oh, I'm putting that on the wrong pile. Okay, I paid a lot of money for this, which, you know, again, a bit of a bidding war. 13 by 9.5. Again, really big. That's the back cover, and it's just a little soft cover thing. But the illustrations, oh my goodness. 1935. Now, are these not works of art? Let's admire in silence. So this part, so 11 by 8 3/4. So any one of these pages, well, this is smaller, 10 by 8, could in fact become journal covers, obviously with some bolstering of strength, or page spreads, you know, like a centerfold in a signature, say in a Tall Skinny, or even, well, this one, okay, top of his head. This could be cut down to become a signature in a normal journal. Or it could be left intact because I paid quite a bit of money for it. Just lovely. And other than, you know, a little tear here, it really is in wonderful condition. And you know, if there's a bride, there's going to be a happily ever after. But the beautiful fairy godmother was never seen again, for you see, Cinderella was so happy that she did not need her anymore. Love it. Okay, and then the final one we all have seen, A Child's Garden of Verses by Robert Louis Stevenson. But we know that because this was never copyrighted, there are a million versions out there. This one obviously looks like an old one. And in this case, the illustrations are done by Juanita C. Bennett. Mic drop. Is that not gorgeous? Pictures in this book dedicated to my son, Dick. Look at this. Oh, there is a copyright here. 1932. Yeah, 32. And of course, with something like Whitman Publishing Company, we would obviously need to see whether the copyright was renewed. And of course, it's not the 100 years anyway, so. But just look at this. Truly works of art. I mean, not to make too fine a point on it, but what would you rather have? Honestly. Ick. I said it, I said ick. This is probably one of those that just becomes part of one's collection. I don't know if this little okay, 32. Oh, Oh, something has been cut out of here because this is 32. And then this one is 36. So somebody took something out of here. They did it in such a way, though, that it kept the integrity of the binding intact. I don't usually go this slowly on flip throughs, but in case you never find this in real life, you can vicariously live. There's a little damage to that page. You can vicariously live through my acquisition. Oh, something else here. Page 10. Page 14. 11, 12. Yeah, so something was cut out there as well. And that, my dear friends, is that. I hope you've enjoyed this. Again, I love to acquire these things either for my own collection, for my own use, or in order to be able to share them with you through live sales and Happy Mail. So thanks so much for joining me. I will see you in the next one. Bye.